Welcome back to our tidyverse tutorial. I already explained to you that there is a difference between executing or making use of quasi-quotation outside of the tidyverse and inside the tidyverse. In the previous section we looked outside the tidyverse, and now let's have a look how quasi-quotation works inside the tidyverse. Let's directly start with an example. Let's have a look at the pull instruction and the pull method, which is provided with a dplyr function, which is part of the tidyverse. And what pull does is it receives a data frame and it returns the content of this education column in this example as a vector. So this is a data frame and it just returns the content of education as a vector. And in this case, we don't want all the entries, we just want the first 5 entries. And we want to play the same game as in the previous section. We don't want to hard code education as it's presented here. We rather want to have education in an object and reference to that object, and by doing it that way we get more flexibility, because in this object you can replace education with something else, for instance age, and then receive the first 5 elements of age instead of education. And in case of tidyverse functions like pull, you can actually uh, reach the same goal easier. What you still have to do is you still have to quote the column which you would like to be returned by the pull function. So we take education as an example, but you can also take age or one of the other columns and just create an expression and store the actual expression in my column. And what is now different is that you don't need to quote the actual pull command like you have done it with a subset command, but you can directly make use of unquoting inside the pull function. So you can use the bang bang operator right here without creating another expression and get the necessary result. So you actually save one line. You don't need an extra evaluation statement which evaluates this quote which contains the correct column. So inside all the tidyverse methods, you can just make directly use of a bang bang operator, and this way it's easier to implement this quote and unquote pattern inside of the tidyverse. And there's actually another syntax which leads to the same result, and this syntax is called embracing. And embracing just means that you do the same, but instead of using the bang bang operators, you just make use of these curly brackets and don't write my column directly, because if you just write my column without the bang bang operator or these curly brackets, then you receive an error, because pull does not find because when pull takes my column literally and does not find any column called my column inside df_adult, but by using these curly brackets or the bang bang operator, yeah, it does unquoting and knows that, yeah, I actually first have to look what is inside my column, and this content is then returned from df_adult. And as I already briefly mentioned, the fact that you don't need to create a second expression does not mean that it does not work. So you still can use the same approach which you have learned from functions which are outside the tidyverse. So you can also create an expression containing the correct column, making use of this bang bang operator, and then evaluate it. This works as well, but you see that in order to do that you need an additional line of code. It brings in additional complexity. So if you make use of tidyverse function, you can save that effort and just execute pull df adult bang bang my column directly.